David's long and distinguished career seemed over. He's been erased from the medical register. It looked like the mothers and campaigners had finally defeated him.
You remember you said to me when as an 11-year-old boy you always wanted to be a doctor?
Yes.
Did you ever see this down the road?
No. How could anybody think that? It's quite something.
I mean, how hard is that to take?
It is hard, yes. I don't like it, of course. Especially as I know it's wrong and that there is something terribly wrong with the processes that has led to this.
David's heard that the police investigation against him is gathering pace, and losing his appeal doesn't work in his favour. But this doctor has a pathological resistance to rolling over. He vows to fight on and overturn all the allegations against him. The appeal court called David Southall's behaviour truly shocking and an abuse of his role as a paediatrician. But his supporters and colleagues have rallied round him, condemning the judge's decision as highly damaging to child protection.
This is a really big blow for a High Court judge to produce this result in the light of, you know, the known difficulties in interviewing parents involved in child protection issues. If he'd have been a family court judge, he would have known instantly that that was the case.
So you're appealing the appeal?
Well, you can, because the first appeal was in the administrative court for the General Medical Council and was one judge. What I feel this issue is so important, it needs a proper appeal court judgment of 3 High Court judges.
Surprisingly, Dee also believes the appeal court have got it wrong. Not because they upheld his striking off, but because she believes the trial didn't deal with the real story behind David Southall.
Yes, please, thank you.
You know, we closed one chapter last week with him being struck off the register. That was the end of 20 years of us saying about his conduct, if you like. The police thing is another thing again. I mean, we're looking at, you know, to me, even more serious things then in relation to Ben, which wasn't covered by the GMC.
Dee has spent years gathering medical evidence to build her case and has handed everything over to the police. She believes Ben was involved in a research project carried out by Dr. Southall without her consent. Dee thinks this amounts to an assault on Ben and is hoping the police will press charges.
Do you think Ben was part of this research study?
That is what other people's take on it has been. I mean, our own, we know, because we know, okay? But yeah, other people's take on it has been that those protocols being in Ben's files means that he was part of that project.
What I'd like to know is where is the evidence that these parents have that their children were involved in this study or any other research study? Because that's the important question.
Okay.
That you should be looking at as well. Where's the evidence?
I have looked at that.
And where's the evidence?
They said that a lawyer gave them these documents.
Yeah, because this is very important to me, and I'm glad you're doing it, but I want to know, to be fair on me, you need to tell me where this has come from, because it's no use them just alleging something. Where's the evidence?
Well,
now,
I went to see the lawyer, and he said he did give it to them.
Right, that's very important. So which lawyer gave what to who?
David doesn't believe the parents have any proof Ben was involved in his research study, a study he says never even went ahead. But Dee told me her solicitor had been given Ben's records by the hospital, which contained Dr. Southall's research project in them.
When we went to court, we had to demonstrate that these documents were relevant to the case, and they were disclosed by the Brompton Hospital for the purposes of the Hollisey McLean case. So I can only assume, it's a while since the case was being investigated, but they must have been regarded as relevant to the Hollisey McLean case, otherwise they wouldn't have been disclosed to us.
Meaning that Ben Hollisey McLean was subject to these research protocols?
I can't say that. They were disclosed for the purposes of our investigations into the Hollisey McLean case.
Dr. Southall had lots of research studies. Why were you given this one if you were asking for documents relating specifically to Ben Halsey McLean?
I agree. They were disclosed because they were relevant to Ben's case, which suggests that this research protocol and Ben had a link. But it's so long ago now that I can't say what that link was.
But they did have a link.
They must have had a link, otherwise they wouldn't have been disclosed.
It was never put in there as part of his clinical care, because there would be no need to. There's no relevance of the two things together.
So he wasn't subject to those protocol tests?
Of course not, no. He was 4 years old. This is on newborn babies. This project is about newborn babies. Okay? He was 4 years old when I got him, referred to me. So why would he be part of a study involving large numbers of babies?
The fact is, Ben had already undergone the first 2 stages of that research. So if it was done for babies, why had Ben undergone those first 2 stages anyway?
How do you know he'd gone through the first
Well,
two
because the things that described in that protocol happened to Ben while he was in the hospital.
Phase 1 and Phase 2 were carried out on Ben, and it seems real to me that you know, Phase 3 can be carried out as well.
How do you know Phase 1 and Phase 2 were carried out?
Because of the documentation that we have.
So when he says that it had nothing to do with Ben, what do you say about that?
Well, we have a photograph of Ben attached to his equipment. He can have a look at that if he likes.
Say that again?
We have a photograph of Ben attached to his equipment. If he wants to see it, I think it has everything to do with Ben. We have considerable evidence to support what we're saying.
I got a call from David. He was in London. The police had asked him to attend a police station to be formally interviewed in relation to an alleged assault on Ben Halsey McLean, the H case.
Where are you going now, David?
I'm going to see my solicitor
About what?
about my discussions with the police tomorrow about the H case. There's an allegation of a serious crime. They're investigating it.
Is that an arrest?
No, not an arrest. I'm a suspect.
What's the charge?
Grievous bodily harm.
Say it again?
Grievous bodily harm, I believe.
On the day of David's police interview, Dee had told me she would be kept informed of any developments.
At this moment, you know more than me via Southall, I have to say.
Really?
Yeah, because all I know is that, in theory, an interview was planned today under caution, but that's it. Oh, God. After 20 years of doing this, Leo, you have to laugh.
I mean, he's been interviewed under caution. He confirmed he's been interviewed under caution.
Yeah, I mean...
Serious offence.
Yeah, but what's the offence, Leo?
He said grievous bodily harm on a child.
Did he? Well, that is absolute, total, utter news, because I... Really? Is that what he said? Shit. Excuse my French. No.
What do you mean you're not... What?
Leo, I don't expect anything.
Is that... What is that? What? When I say that to you, what do you think?
Shock. Not because I don't believe he didn't do it, I believe he did. But we've had 20 years of climbing mountains. And for someone else to say, which is obviously, it has come from someone else, that he's being questioned on suspicion of GBH, then from our point of view, that's a big, huge thing. And it's the first time that we've had real acknowledgement people believe what we're saying. It's an acknowledgement of what happened to Ben. But at the same time, it reinforces what we know happened to Ben, do you know what I mean? So while we know it happened, there's a part of you that doesn't want to acknowledge that it did either. Because of what he suffered. All the aching and the upset. And the guilt that I couldn't protect Ben. And I can't stop and think about that, Leo. So I have to put up a front. Because, you know, the guilt that I couldn't protect him would eat away at me. And I can't let that happen. I could spend every minute of every day crying. You know? And I can't let people see that. It's not fair on my family. You know? It's not fair on Ben. That little boy is gone. But it doesn't mean I don't grieve for him. Every day I grieve for him.